Today's recipe calls for black beans. I'm going to show you this super basic meal that's easy to slap together for a weeknight meal or for some meal prep. And it's also super tasty, even though it's pretty basic. So with that said, let's get started.
The first thing we need to do is preheat the oven box. Set the temp to 450 Fahrenheit or 232 degrees Celsius. After you've set the temp on the oven, throw an empty half-sheet tray into the box. We want the tray to gradually become hot as the oven is preheating. It'll make more sense here in a few why we're doing this. Next, grab 2 medium-sized sweet potatoes and a sharp knife. Cut off both ends of the potato. Once you've done that, square off the sweet potato by cutting a 1/2 inch in width large plank. After it's been squared off, lay it on its flat spot. This will help prevent it from moving around on you when you cut it because safety first. Cut the sweet potato from side to side into 1/2 inch width sections. Once you have the large sections made, cut those sections into long sticks that are the same width as before. Now that you have the sticks, we need to cut them into a medium dice. We're shooting for about 1/2 inch in size cubes. Pro tip, if the potato sticks to the blade, leave it on the blade because you can use it to make the next cut. This can help you get more uniform cuts. It's basically an edible measurement tool. Science, huh? Repeat the same process for both of the spuds. You can peel the sweet potatoes, but I'm too lazy for that. And also, the skins are very nutritious, so it's actually beneficial to be lazy for once. Once you have everything cut, toss it in a large holding apparatus. To the bowl of sweet potatoes, add 2 teaspoons of a neutral tasting oil that has a high smoke point. Following the oil, season to taste with some coarse ground kosher salt, black pepper, and some of your other favorite spices. I decided to add a good sprinkle of a spicy chili powder mix. I think it goes really well with the sweet potatoes. Once your heart is content with the flavor additives, stir and toss the spuds around to ensure everything gets coated in the oil and seasonings. The reason why we want our half-sheet tray to be preheated or hot is because when we add the sweet potatoes to the hot pan, it'll jumpstart the cooking process. It'll also sear the potatoes to give us a good crust on the outside to give them texture, and will slightly caramelize them as well. Give them a quick taste test and adjust the seasoning as needed. Once the sweet potatoes meet your taste requirements, pull the ripping hot half-sheet tray out of the oven and add the cubes of sweetness. Make one nice even layer of goods. Your pan may pop and become uneven like mine did. Lay it flat and pop it back in place. Do it while the tray is still hot for it to work. Toss the half-sheet tray back into the oven box for the best roast. Place it on the middle rack. Set a timer and roast the sweet potatoes for 15 to 17 minutes or until they are almost all the way cooked through. We want them to be nice and al dente. Times may vary depending on how hot your oven runs. About halfway through the roasting process, pull them out and give them a quick mix-up. This will help ensure that most of each sweet potato will get some color and texture to it. Also, check to see how much longer they need to cook. Press on a cube to see how firm it is. Adjust the time as needed. After they've been checked and stirred up, put them back in the oven to finish cooking. Once the timer goes off, pull them sweet things out. Oh, so hot and steamy. Give them a quick taste test. If they're good to go, set them aside to completely cool down. Grab yourself a small yellow onion and cut the top off. You want to leave the root end on. Cut the onion in half and peel all the skin off. Once you have it all cleaned up, cut the onion from side to side. Make small sections that are about 1/4 inch in width. After you've done that, turn the onion and cut it the opposite way now, going from the top towards the root of the veg. Make the same small 1/4 inch cuts. We're shooting for something that's close to a small dice. Leaving the root on the onion will help keep the onion together, making it easier to cut. Repeat the same process for the other half of the vegetable that makes people cry. The next thing we'll do is mince 5 to 6 medium-sized garlic cloves. I think the easiest way to peel them is by cutting off both ends of the garlic and then cutting them in half. Now we can start mincing the vampire repellent. There are a couple ways of doing this. The first way is by treating the garlic clove like we did the onion, this time making super small sections and then cutting the opposite way. It's a bit tedious, but in the end, it works really well. The other way is by making thin garlic slices. Once you have the slices, put everything into a pile to mince it. Place one hand on top of the blade towards the tip. This will help keep the knife stable, and with your other hand on the handle of the knife, rock your blade back back and forth. Keep doing this until you end up with super small pieces of garlic. The smaller the better. This way it's spread out throughout our finished product. Once you have all the veg prepped, we can grab our protein. We'll be using 1 pound or 453 grams of ground turkey. Now that you have all of the ingredients ready, grab a large pot or pan and throw it over the heat source. To the cooking device, add in roughly half a tablespoon of neutral tasting oil. Crank the heat up to a medium heat. Allow your oil to become nice and hot. Once the oil is ready, add in the small diced onion. Always season as we go with a few small pinches of coarse ground kosher salt. Stir it up to coat all the onions in the oil. Saute this for 6 to 7 minutes or until the onion becomes translucent. Now that the onion has been cooked through, pull out about a quarter cup or roughly 50 grams and set it aside for later. The next thing we'll add to the pan is our ground turkey. Once it's in the pan, break it up into smaller pieces. Season with a few good pinches of kosher salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. Give that a good mix up to add in the seasonings. Cook the turkey for 15 to 17 minutes or until it's cooked all the way through. If temped with a thermometer, it should be 165 Fahrenheit or 73 degrees Celsius. You can also grab a big chunk and break it open. If it's white all the way through, you know it's done. I made a little mistake here. I should have pulled all the onion out and let my oil get hot and then added the turkey. This way we could have gotten a nice sear on it to get more flavor out of it. Once the turkey is cooked through, add all the minced garlic to the pot. Saute the garlic for about a minute or until it becomes super fragrant in smell. After everything has been cooked, pull the cooking device off the heat source and grab a small snack, aka give it the taste test, and adjust the seasoning as needed. Once checked, move the goods over to a half sheet tray to allow it to completely cool all the way down. Make one nice even layer and give the tray the occasional stir as it cools down to help release some of the heat it holds. The last item we need to prep for our meal is some beans. I went with some black beans because they're my favorite. You can use whatever legumes you wish. Whatever bean you decide to use, just ensure you drain and rinse them. Add the beans to a small holding device. Following that, add the reserved onions from earlier. To enhance the flavor of the beans, you can add some seasonings as well. I added a small sprinkle of granulated garlic powder and a small pinch of salt. Give that a quick mix up and adjust the seasoning as needed. I ended up using 2 full cans of black beans, which came out to be 30 ounces or 825 grams worth. I wanted my meal prep meals to be bigger or have more food, so I did 2 cans. Beans are a cheap ingredient to make meals go further. They have good fiber and protein to make you feel fuller as well. Now that all the items have been prepped out and all the cooked ingredients have completely cooled down, it's time to portion everything out. There's 2 ways of doing this, of course. You can just eye it out to get each item portioned, or you can also weigh out the entire bulk of each item and then divide the weight by how many meals that you're trying to make. I decided to make 4 meals. That seemed to work out really well. Once you have your meals figured out, toss them in some containers. Use whatever you have on hand. This is the time where old to-go containers come in handy. To reheat the meals, toss them in the microwave for a few minutes or until they reach your warmth requirements of how hot a meal should be before it's consumed. Once your containers are filled, pop the lids on the holding devices and gently toss those goods in your fridge box. Grab one when you're hungry. Add some hot sauce to the meals or add some leafy greens to make it even healthier. Or make all this into a tasty burrito. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our meal prep meal is done and I have it reheated, let's give it the old taste-a-roo. So looking at it, it came out nice and aesthetically pleasing. I don't want to tip it over and drop anything. But anyways, our sweet potatoes have that nice bright orange color to them. And our black beans look super tasty as well with those chunks of onion. Then our turkey looks super juicy. And I wish I would got a little bit more caramelization on it, but you know, it is what it is. So let's try our sweet potato first. Texture-wise, it's perfect. They're nice and soft and tender, and they have that nice caramelization to it from them being roasted. Flavor-wise, they're really tasty. That little bit of spiciness helps counterbalance the sweetness, but overall, they're really tasty. And let's try our black beans. Black beans, of course, slap because they're the best bean out there, in my opinion. And then the garlic and onion are the perfect combination, especially with beans. They're super tasty. Now let's try our turkey. Another bite. Our turkey came out super tasty. It's nice and juicy, even though we've reheated it a second time. then the garlic and onion really bring a ton of flavor to the table. And some of the pieces got a little bit of caramelization to them, so that also brings another flavor profile to the table. Overall, this is just like a perfect, sweet, delicious, healthy meal. And it all has to be mixed together, in my opinion, maybe to make it taste better, or just the turkey and beans. But anyways, that's just my problem, so yeah. See, this is what you gotta do. Put it over there. Give that a good mixer. Perfect. That's the way to do it, okay? Alright, now that I've eaten the whole thing, let's talk about it. First of all, it came out really delicious. It's a super basic meal that's really filling. The black beans and turkey go so well together, and that garlic and onion is always just the perfect combination and is super tasty with pretty much anything. You get a little bit of palate fatigue though, just from those two items. That sweet potato's there to help cut through all that richness from the beans and the turkey and give you that little pop of sweetness, and of course that little bit of spiciness as well. Texture wise, it's pretty soft. There's some crunchy onions in there, but you could add a little bit of crunch factor to help change it up a bit, maybe with some lettuce or spinach, or even add a few toasted almonds to your sweet potatoes to get that crunch factor. But overall, this thing is just good. This meal is really easy to throw together. Use this as a weeknight meal or use it as a meal prep. And you can swap out the turkey for some ground chicken or use whatever your favorite bean is besides the black beans, and use some of your favorite spices, and of course add some hot sauce, because hot sauce makes everything better, in my opinion at least. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna go figure out some more meal prep stuff because that'll be nice for me during the week. So we'll see you on the next one. In the first try. That's pretty interesting. There's snow out there, so it's blinding my eyes. Gotta go though. All right, now that our meal prep meal. It's a super simple meal. Simple, like that. First of all, it's super tasty. Say super too much. Super basic meal that's really fulfilling. That's filling.